Slap-ham.
10 chilling ghost photos you have to see. From a floating spectre in a crematorium to a man's soul escaping his body. Join us as we take a cautious peep at this collection of chilling ghost photos. This photo was taken in 2012. It's of a grandmother posing with her grandson. When the father of the young baby reviewed the photo, he was alarmed to see a figure wearing a collared shirt drifting behind his mother. After showing his neighbours the photo, they informed him that the previous owner's son had overdosed and died in the basement of the house. It was noted that the deceased son was an avid golfer, and if you look closely, it's as though the figure could be wearing a collared golf shirt. Also, if you look to the left of the frame, there appears to be another figure of a young girl. This could be the person taking the photo, but I don't think the angle is quite right. Is this just camera malfunction, or could this tall figure be the spirit of the previous owner's son? Pluckley has the honour of being known as one of the most haunted villages in England. Located in the Ashford district of Kent, this town has a reported 15 ghosts that haunt various parts of the village. One such place is Daring Woods, also known as Screaming Woods, named so because of the terrifying screams that are often heard by people passing by. This photo was taken by a Pluckley resident. They claim it's a ghost wandering the Screaming Woods. This photo was taken by a mother known only as Heather from Pennsylvania using her camera phone. It shows her son posing for the photo, but in the background there's a black-eyed face peering out from behind the young boy. On the 14th of July 2016, truck driver Sal Vasquez took this photo as he was passing an accident on the Burt T. Combs Mountain Parkway in eastern Kentucky. Just above the onlooking state troopers and paramedics appears to be a white shadow floating upwards. The unidentified man involved in the motorbike accident was taken to a nearby hospital but was pronounced dead on arrival. Vasquez posted the photo to his Facebook page later that day, leading many to speculate that the floating shadow was the man's soul escaping his body. Reddit user Liberty posted this picture of a foreclosed house in Milton, Florida. While browsing real estate listings, he noticed this strange image of what appears to be someone peering out of the window. After contacting the real estate agent, who assured him that it was a sealed foreclosed home and that no one was present the day the photo was taken, he decided to do some research. He discovered that the previous owner, an 81-year-old lady, had died in the house and had no close family. That's why the home went into foreclosure in the first place. So who or what is hiding inside this house? This chilling image of an early 20th century family sitting by a Christmas tree seems to have no solid origin. It's clear that some sort of apparition is floating in the top right hand corner, but is it just a case of some clever photoshopping? If anyone has any information on this photo, please let us know in the comments section below. Point Pinos Lighthouse, built in 1855, is the oldest continuously running lighthouse in the west coast of the United States. It is said to be haunted by the spirit of the first lighthouse keeper, Charles Layton, who was murdered by notorious outlaw Anastasio Garcia. Employees often report objects going missing or moving about on their own, doors banging and strange noises. In 2012, Reddit user Ruff the Suspect posted this photo taken in one of the museum rooms in Point Pinos Lighthouse. He said that a friend took the photo certain that no one else was in the room. In the center of the reflection is the photographer wearing white shoes, while to the left is a striking image of a man wearing a cap. The figure is strangely vivid, while the person taking the photo is less visible. Could this be the spirit of murdered lighthouse keeper Charles Layton? This photo often pops up in ghost forums with very little information attached. Some say the photo itself is haunted and can cause people to pass out or even die just from viewing it. The visceral image is certainly unsettling, but after doing some research we discovered it's from a 1990 film titled Begotten. Directed by E. Ilias Mahig, this experimental horror film depicts the story of Genesis. Now, even though this is a work of fiction, we've added it to the list because calling this film creepy is an absolute understatement. If you're curious, there's a link in the description box below. This photo was taken in 1943 in Kapos Fured, Hungary by a husband taking a still of his wife. In the background is a girl in a dress with no arms and no discernible face. Creepier still, there is a disembodied leg jutting out from behind the man's wife. What is going on in this image? The more I look at the girl in the white dress, the creepier this image gets. She's clearly facing the camera but has no arms or face. This chilling ghost photo began circulating the internet in 2014. When this lady took a selfie with her daughter, she swears they were the only two people in the room. When she later reviewed the photo, she was stunned at the eerie figure in the background. It appears to be a young girl floating, looking lifelessly at the camera. If you look closely, the right side of her face looks bloated. The photo scared the lady so much that she hired a paranormal investigator and looked into the history of the house. She discovered that the house had once been a fully functioning crematorium and would have housed hundreds of dead bodies. Holy balls, the dead are rising from their graves. As always, thanks heaps for watching. If you're enjoying the content, hit that thumbs up button. Let's try and get this video to 1500 likes. And if you're new to the channel, why not subscribe, because we have content just like this coming out each and every week. And this is the Slapper signing off. How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about creepy ghost footage. From the haunted halls of a school in Ireland to some poltergeist activity in a Malaysian mosque. Join us as we take a look at some really creepy ghost footage that'll give you chills. At around 3 AM on October 1st, 2017 at the Deer Park CBS school in Ireland, a security camera captured some striking footage. Down the long dark hallway, a door abruptly opens then slams shut. Moments later, a column of lockers starts inexplicably shaking. A single locker door flies open, emptying books and paper onto the ground. Then, a caution wet floor sign left out by a janitor flips violently onto the ground. When asked about the alleged ghost footage, Deer Park's principal, Aaron Wolf, denies that it was a hoax, saying, "If it's a prank, we don't know how it was done. Motion sensors were set off at this time, that's how it was caught." The school has a history of ghost sightings. One teacher claims that they heard a trumpet playing down a hallway while staying the night at the school. They said they couldn't find the source of the music and left immediately. On another occasion, a student said they heard crying coming from the bathroom, but when they went in, no one was there. Others have said they've seen lights flick on and off, and cold spots have been reported in the very hallway this footage was taken. This video was recorded by a security camera at the Kampung Tadung Mosque in Malaysia. At a little after 3 AM on the 28th of the 5th, 2016, strange activity began happening at this local place of worship. In the video, we see two partitions begin to move on their own. They move about the floor, sliding back and forth. They move independently of each other and too erratically to be pulled by rope or wire. According to the New Straits Times, a local newspaper in Malaysia, Malacca Chief Minister Datuk Seri Idri Hiron called for an official investigation into the footage. He invited religious authorities and local scientists to review the security tapes. He also stated he didn't think the video was a hoax, as the movement of the partitions appeared to be random, he said. When the footage was posted to Facebook, it quickly went viral, dividing the community on plausible explanations. Some commentators noted that it could be wind, while others were quick to call it poltergeist activity. Whatever the case may be, it makes for some striking footage. The outcome of the official investigation is not known. Staying in Malaysia, this time we take a look at some security footage in a police station. Filmed in mid-2017 at the Bandar Halal police station in Malacca, a usual quiet evening was playing out when something truly bizarre happened. In the footage, we see several police officers working at the reception desk of the department. Suddenly, two glass doors fly open, one of them shattering on impact. The officers stand up, startled and confused as to what just happened. Shocked, they slowly begin to investigate the scene. They search outside as more officers are drawn to the commotion. It's possible that strong winds played a role in the incident, sweeping through one door, creating enough force to push open the second door, shattering it against the wall. However, the first door opens inwards while the second door opens outward, which doesn't suggest a current of wind could funnel through a building like that. Plus, it looks like the first door may lead to an office or another indoor room, which completely rules out wind altogether. What do you think happened in this Malaysian police station? Is it haunted or was it just wind? Let us know in the comments section below. This footage was taken in late 2014 in a pharmacy in Egypt. At around 3 AM, strange things start to happen in the store. The TVs start flickering and a chair begins to move on its own. It rises into the air, then abruptly falls to the ground. Moments later, some kind of powder or liquid spatters onto the ground. We then see a different security camera show some kind of strange liquid forming on the cabinet of the store. When this video was uploaded, it spread quickly across social media, garnering thousands of views. Commentators have noted that it's rare for security cameras to capture sound, something you see a lot of in hoax ghost footage. Other paranormal investigators believe the footage could be real, noting it could be genuine evidence of poltergeist activity. In mid-2013, an eerie woman was spotted by security cameras in Bogota, Colombia. 3 separate CCTV cameras spotted the ghostly figure wandering down the street. The woman appears to be dressed in an old maid's outfit. She walks a few steps, pauses, then walks another few steps and pauses again. Each of the 3 cameras capture her bizarre walking pattern. Ordinarily, this footage could be dismissed as merely a person walking strangely down the street. However, it's what happens when she reaches the end of the road that will give you chills. 2 of the 3 security cameras show the woman vanish. She just completely disappears. A local news station in Bogota investigated the area where the footage was taken and even invited a priest to comment on the incident. They found no plausible reason for the disappearance of the woman. This security camera footage from Japan began surfacing in mid-2016. It shows a man getting into a taxi, but what happens next will give you chills. As the man enters the taxi, some kind of dark figure follows him. The entity has long black hair and is wearing a dress with a hunched over posture. It eerily clings to the man, then vanishes into the side of the vehicle. This is some old footage uploaded to YouTube more than 10 years ago. It's taken from a Japanese documentary series that looks at famous ghost footage. In the video, we see a young girl sitting in front of a mirror brushing her hair. A woman calls out, getting the young girl's attention. As she turns around, her reflection on the right pauses. It doesn't follow the little girl's movement at all. This footage has been analysed dozens of times over the years. Some critics have noted that it could easily have been manipulated in post-production, taking multiple shots and splicing them together. Others maintain that the footage is real and hasn't been tampered with in any way. Some believe it to be solid evidence of a paranormal world that humans can't normally perceive. There's not a lot of background information on this video other than it's from an unknown reality TV show. Uploaded to YouTube more than 10 years ago, the video shows a man exploring a cemetery in Mexico. In the darkness, he begins to hear a young girl crying. When the man yells out, the little girl cries out for her mum. He searches in the darkness, desperate to find the disembodied voice. This goes on for several minutes as the man gets more and more terrified. Finally, he spots an eerie figure sitting by a grave. It looks like a young girl with long black hair wearing a white dress. She moans "Mum," then turns to the camera, revealing glowing eyes with grey, gaunt facial features. The man runs scared and screaming into the dark of the night. Unfortunately, that's all the information we can find on this video. Supposedly, it's from a Mexican reality TV show. The producers of the show heard stories from locals that mysterious crying was emanating from the local cemetery at nighttime. The host of the show decided to investigate, and this is the footage. Allegedly, the host was so traumatized by the experience that he had to get therapy.
Fresh pants please, that was a little bit terrifying. What do you think? Love to hear your thoughts, leave a comment down below, hit that thumbs up button if you're enjoying the content. If you're new, remember to subscribe because we do stuff like this each and every week. And that's it for me, I'll see you all next time. Pew! How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about weird cases of time travelling. From a time traveller who passes a lie detector test to a man from the future who earned a fortune on the stock market. Join us as we take a look at 10 real cases of time travel that can't be explained.
In February 2018, a man who claimed to be a time traveller underwent a lie detector test on camera. The man, only known as Noah, said he was from the year 2030 and made several predictions for the near future. Among them, he said that Donald Trump would be re-elected for a second term of presidency. In 2028, time travel will be invented and the first humans will visit Mars. He also claimed that Bitcoin will be used as a currency, but that cash money also still exists. Noah also claims to have some sort of futuristic technology implanted in his wrist that is somehow involved in the time travel process. An X-ray confirms that there is in fact some sort of device embedded under the skin, but he refuses to have it surgically removed. Several days after the lie detector test, Noah was reported to mysteriously vanish during a live stream. It was then revealed that he contacted the channel via email, stating that he was briefly taken back to the year 2030 for interrogation, but is now back in our time. In 1932, journalist J. Bernard Hutton, along with photographer Joachim Brandt, was sent to do a story on the Hamburg shipyard for a German newspaper. The pair claimed that shortly after they arrived at the shipyard, bombs started raining down from the sky and they had to scramble to safety. When they emerged, they took several photographs of the devastation before returning to Hamburg. When the pair told their story, no one believed them, as there had not been a bombing of any sort. Determined to prove that they were not crazy, they developed the photographs they had taken. To their shock, the photographs showed no signs of an air raid whatsoever. 11 years later, Hutton was living in London when he opened a newspaper and read that an air raid had taken place on the Hamburg shipping yard. The bombing was part of the Allied attack codenamed Operation Gomorrah. To his amazement, the photographs in the newspaper looked just like the ones he thought he and Brandt had taken years earlier. Did the pair slip through some sort of time rip? Had they actually witnessed an event that was yet to occur? In 2016, a mysterious photograph surfaced on Icelandic social media. It showed downtown Reykjavik in 1943 at the height of World War II. In the foreground, a group of American GIs can be seen standing outside a taxi station, as well as a man leaning against a window who appears to be talking on a mobile phone long before they even existed. Originally posted to a Facebook group by Christian Hoffman, it quickly began to attract attention across the internet. The photo was so convincing that many people said it was irrefutable proof that time travel must exist, while others thought that it showed that the mobile phone must have already been invented and in use in Iceland by the 1940s. What do you think? Is this man from the 1940s really using a cell phone? There's been several recorded instances of people seemingly using technology that shouldn't exist at the time. Many believe it to be evidence of time travel. This footage of a woman exiting a DuPont factory was taken in 1928. If you look closely, it appears that she's talking on a mobile phone. This footage was taken from the opening of a Charlie Chaplin film in 1928. As the camera pans in, a lady can be seen walking past chatting on another mobile phone. What do you think? Does this footage really prove that time travel exists? This now famous black and white photo was taken on the day South Fork Bridge reopened in Canada in the early 1940s. Take a look at the man in the middle right of this image. He's wearing a pair of modern sunglasses, a hooded jumper and a logo printed t-shirt. If this is a real time traveller, why has he travelled to the 1940s to witness a bridge reopening in Canada? Now I know some of you are thinking that you've seen this photo a million times before, but wait till the number one spot where we'll reveal an extra piece of shocking information. This photo was taken after Brazil's triumph over Czechoslovakia in the final of the 1962 FIFA World Cup. The man holding the trophy is Brazilian player Garrincha, who was voted player of the tournament. If you look directly below him, there's a man who appears to be taking a photo of Garrincha using a mobile phone. Could this be evidence of a time traveller who has travelled back in time to witness this historical sporting occasion? In 1901, Anne Mobley and Eleanor Jourdain, two professors from St Hugh's College in Oxford, England, travelled to France to visit the Palace of Versailles. As they were walking around a small chateau within the grounds known as Petit Trianon, the pair claimed that something very strange happened. They said they were suddenly surrounded by people dressed in 1780s period attire, and that Mary Antoinette herself was sitting on a stool in the gardens. seemingly impossible as Antoinette, the last Queen of France, was found guilty of high treason and beheaded by guillotine in 1793. The pair then claimed that everyone mysteriously disappeared just as a tour guide approached them. In 1911, the two professors wrote a book titled An Adventure, under the aliases of Elizabeth Morrison and Francis Lamont, that described in detail their bizarre experience. Because of the credibility of the authors and the grounded accounts of which they told their story, it is widely regarded as one of the best pieces of evidence that time slips may actually exist. Did Moberly and Jourdain experience a time slip, or was it some sort of strange hallucination? Let us know what you think could have happened in the comments section below. In 2008, archaeologists opened a sealed tomb in Guangxi, China that supposedly hadn't been disturbed for more than 400 years. Inside the coffin, they discovered a small wristwatch with the time frozen at 10:06. On the back, the word Swiss was engraved. The first wristwatch, however, was not made until the 1800s, which makes the discovery in Guangxi so baffling. Was the watch left behind by a clumsy time traveller, or could it just be an elaborate hoax? In a video published in February 2018, a man by the name of Alexander Smith claims to be a time traveller that's visited the year 2118. In the video, he says that he's actually one of the first people to ever use time travel technology as part of a top-secret CIA mission in 1981. He goes on to say that a group of unnamed people were looking for him and that he was living in hiding. Among other things, Smith claims that by the mid-21st century it's become widely known to the public that intelligent alien life exists. He goes on to say that they've been visiting Earth for a long time and that the government has been keeping it a secret. He also says that while walking around in the year 2118, he came across a statue of a man named Janu Oliver Beck, who he later found out would become President of the United States and is somehow assassinated. At the end of the interview, Smith reaches into his jacket and produces a photo of a city he claims he took while visiting the year 2118. He then mentions that the reason the image is slightly distorted is due to the time travel process. In 2003, a newspaper reported that a man by the name of Andrew Carlson had been arrested on insider trading charges. According to a report by the Security and Exchange Commission, Carlson had turned an initial investment of just $800 into a portfolio worth around $350 million while trading the stock market. All the trades he made were high risk and based on information that he couldn't have known unless he had inside information or was from the future. Carlson was interrogated by the FBI and confessed that he was actually a time traveller from the year 2256. He claimed that his plan was to make several small trades here and there that would go unnoticed, but that he got caught up in the excitement of the situation and ended up making a fortune. The more the FBI pressed him, the more Carlson insisted that he was actually from the future. In an effort to prove his story, Carlson is said to have even told the FBI where Osama bin Laden was hiding, as well as giving them the cure for AIDS. However, the story gets even stranger. In an effort to further prove himself, Carlson offered this photo as proof that he was actually a time traveller. He claimed that he was also witness to the reopening of the South Fork Bridge in Canada in the early 1940s, alongside the mysterious man dressed in modern-day clothes. Carlson pleaded with the authorities to release him so he could return to the year 2256. However, he refused to give up the location of his timecraft for fear of the technology falling into the wrong hands. Shortly after his arrest, a mysterious man posted his bail of $1 million. He was due to appear in court in April of 2003 but disappeared on the way to the hearing. There was no record of an Andrew Carlson existing prior to December 2002, and he was never seen or heard from ever again.
Well, that's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for watching and travelling into the future with us. If you're enjoying our content, hit that upward facing thumb, subscribe if you're new, or leave us a comment down below. We love reading them all. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew!
Slapham.
5 ghosts caught on CCTV. From a centuries-old headless drummer boy to a terrifying poltergeist attack. Join us as we take a look at 5 pieces of ghostly CCTV footage. This is some footage of a man filming an airport runway. When he glances down at the road, his camera captures something off-putting. Whatever was captured disappears. The creepy thing is that it triggers the CCTV camera to spin around and look at the window where the figure was. This is some CCTV footage taken in October 2013 at Jimmy's World Grill and Bar. It shows a woman finishing a meal then getting up to pay. Once she leaves, something weird happens at her table. Dover Castle in Kent, England is reportedly haunted by several ghosts. Workers and security guards often report disembodied screams coming from the castle ramparts. The halls are said to be haunted by a headless drummer boy who was brutally murdered many centuries ago. Here's some footage taken in August 2009 at one of the gates to the castle. Some kind of dark figure floats across the screen then disappears. Moments later, a security guard rushes to the scene but is dumbfounded by the experience. This is some CCTV footage taken at the Carlisle Castle Hotel in Newtown, Sydney, Australia. When owner Peter Bradbury noticed strange things happening around the bar, such as glasses smashing and wine falling off the shelves, he decided to review the security camera footage. What it captured is truly startling. A security camera in a Malaysian hotel has captured a terrifying encounter. The first camera shows an armchair sliding on its own, then a door violently slamming shut. The footage then cuts to a woman sitting alone in a room. What happens next is terrifying. Fresh pantalones, please. As always, thanks heaps for watching. If you've got any interesting theories about these pieces of footage, let us know in the comments section below. We'd love to hear them. Remember to hit that thumbs up button. Let's try and get this video to 1,000 likes. And this is the Slaptham shining off.
From ancient burial grounds to the mummified remains of the previous owner, we take a look at the 10 creepiest things ever found in people's basements.
When Helen Weissensel of Jefferson County, Wisconsin began digging in her basement whilst renovating her house, she made a gruesome discovery. Weissensel had uncovered the skull of a child along with a wide assortment of other human remains. She notified the local authorities, who discovered that her house was actually built on top of a long-forgotten burial ground. Experts estimate that the cemetery could have been up to 170 years old and may have contained the remains of hundreds of people. Weissensel had to cease all work on her renovations until she could get approval from the State Historical Society. After 15 months, the state finally gave her permission to continue the renovations and seemed content to continue living on top of a now disturbed gravesite. In 2016, a repairman called out to a suburban home in Lansing, Illinois got a nasty shock when he ventured into the basement. After spotting movement coming from a large container, the repairman lifted the cover to discover a 6-foot-long, 200-pound live alligator staring back at him. He immediately called the authorities, who questioned the animal's owner, Charles Price. Price claimed that he had kept the alligator as a pet for more than 26 years and that he occasionally took it outside to roam around his backyard. Price reportedly obtained the alligator from a swap meet when it was just a few centimeters long. He was charged with unlawful possession of an endangered species and the alligator was removed by the authorities. His neighbours had no idea that he was keeping the animal in the basement of his house. From the outside, Hanny's, located in downtown Phoenix, Arizona, appears to be a normal restaurant and bar. When a Reddit user found their way into the basement, however, they posted this creepy photo of what they saw. Like a scene straight out of a horror movie, creepy dolls have been arranged along a large table, just like the famous painting The Last Supper by Leonardo da Vinci. The building used to be an old department store, but no one knows who set the dolls up or the reason for such an eerie scene. It looks as though someone has thrown coins onto the table, perhaps as an offering to appease the unsettling dolls. In 2016, a construction worker discovered a 100-year-old Ouija board buried within the walls of a house he was working on. He noticed that it had been placed upside down, leading some to speculate that the person who hid it may have done so to protect themselves. Had they contacted something sinister from the other side and hid the board in an attempt to break contact? The construction worker posted a photo of the board on Reddit, where he was warned by many readers to leave the Ouija board where he found it. In 2010, two women made an awful discovery while cleaning a basement in a Los Angeles apartment building. Inside a trunk wrapped in newspaper from the 1930s were two mummified infants, along with several pieces of Peter Pan memorabilia, including the book Peter Pan written by J.M. Barrie and a membership card to the Peter Pan Woodland Club. In a weird coincidence, the owner of the trunk was a nurse by the name of Janet M. Barrie, the same initials J.M. Barrie as the famous writer. DNA tests proved that the infants were Barry's children, but why they were stored away in the basement of an LA apartment remains a mystery. The truth may never be known, as Barry passed away in 1994. In 2013, a group of Ohio State College students began hearing strange noises coming from the basement of their off-campus house. In addition, the power kept going out on the third floor and someone had to venture into the basement to flip the circuit breaker. The residents also began noticing strange things around the house. Drawers were left open and lights were mysteriously turned on. On one occasion, one of the students saw a mysterious man in the basement. He said his name was Jeremy and left the house before he could be questioned further. Thinking that the house was haunted, the students ventured into the basement to investigate. There was a mysterious door that was always locked and none of the residents had a key to open it. After hearing more noises coming from the basement, the students decided to call their landlord as well as the police. Together, they pried open the door. Inside, they discovered a room with a bed, photos, and a TV. That's when the students realized that the man named Jeremy that they had seen previously had been living in their house without them knowing. Once his room was discovered, the mysterious man packed his belongings and left. In 1998, conservationists performing repairs on US founding father Benjamin Franklin's London house made a rather gruesome discovery. In the basement of the house, located at 36 Craven Street, they uncovered the remains of more than 15 bodies, 6 of whom were children buried in a secret windowless room. It's thought that Franklin wasn't hiding the evidence of a horrific crime but may have been covering for a friend. William Hewson, Franklin's protege, was running an anatomy school at the time and was probably using the residents to dispose of the remains. In the 18th century, human dissection for the purpose of anatomy was still ethically frowned upon, and so students had to acquire specimens illegally. This included paying grave robbers to dig up the remains of the newly deceased. In 2009, Ben and Amber Sessions purchased a home in Rexburg, Idaho. Soon after moving in, they began finding a large number of snakes in the backyard. It wasn't long before the couple, who had already had 2 children and a third on the way, began hearing strange noises in the wall and under the floor. They also noticed a funny taste in the water that Ben described as onion-like. Ben decided to investigate the sounds by removing a panel of siding. To his horror, dozens of snakes came pouring out. The couple sought the advice of a snake expert who informed them that the onion-like taste in the water was probably a result of the musk that the snakes release when they're frightened. One day while watching TV, Amber saw a story about the previous owners of her house and how they had fled due to the horrible snake infestation. The real estate agent had resold the house to the Sessions despite knowing the awful truth. Discovering that it would cost more than $100,000 to have the nest removed and a concrete slab laid under the house, the Sessions had no choice but to file for bankruptcy and move out. In 2015, police raided a home in Heikendorf, Germany after they suspected that the villa's 78-year-old owner was in possession of illegal weaponry. Stashed away in the basement of the villa was a cache of weapons that included a torpedo, anti-aircraft gun, and a 1943 Panzer tank. Prosecutors received a tip-off by authorities in Berlin who had previously searched the villa for stolen Nazi artifacts. While it took the manpower of 20 soldiers to remove the tank from the villa, the discovery came as no surprise to the local mayor, Alexander Orth, who'd told a newspaper that the owner was chugging around in that thing during the snow catastrophe in 1978. In 2007, a man named George Giro purchased a house in the town of Roses, Spain. A local bank had repossessed the house from its previous owner and put it up for auction after they had failed to make their mortgage repayments. When Giro entered the house, he was shocked to discover that the previous owner was still there. She had passed away some years ago and the salty seaside air had preserved her mummified corpse. Bizarrely, in the 6 years that the previous owner's mortgage was outstanding, the bank never sent anyone to the house to investigate. Equally as baffling was the fact that the real estate agent hadn't bothered to check the condition of the house prior to auction.
Well that was a little bit creepy. Now let us know down below in the comment section, would you spend the night in any of these creepy basements? Also, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button just there, because we have content just like this coming out each and every week. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew!
Slap
5 pieces of shocking ghost footage caught on security camera. Have these security cameras captured proof of ghosts? From a strange blue spirit floating around a gas station to a terrifying poltergeist attack. Join us as we take a look at 5 pieces of shocking ghost footage caught on security camera. In 2007, a security camera at a gas station in Palmer, Ohio captured something very unusual floating around the petrol pumps. Both workers and patrons are stunned at the footage, unable to explain whether this is a ghost caught on camera or not. Here's some footage taken by a security camera in a Japanese car park. It shows several cars driving past when a mysterious ghost figure appears out of nowhere, then vanishes just as quickly as it materialized. This security camera in a Blockbuster video store in Mexico has captured something very eerie. At night, employees often report that an unknown force has blown air on their necks or pushed them in the back. This footage shows one such employee experiencing some kind of paranormal activity. There are very few details about this CCTV footage supposedly filmed at some kind of IT park. It shows a man walking down a hallway, but what happens after that is absolutely chilling. This security camera captures a hooded man walking down a hallway, but what happens next is the stuff of nightmares. It would appear some kind of spirit or demon appears out of nowhere and pushes the man to the ground, then drags him down the hallway. The entity then vanishes as the man runs for his life. Well, hey, remember to check under your bed for demons, because that's where they like to lurk. As always, thanks heaps for watching. If you really want to help us out, hit that thumbs up button. Let's try and get this video to 1,500 likes. And this is the Slap Ham signing off.
Hey How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about some super creepy paranormal deaths. From alien abductions and spontaneous human combustion to an entire family that was allegedly possessed. Join us as we take a look at 10 supernatural deaths that have left authorities baffled. And before we get into it, remember to hit that subscribe button for more creepy content just like this.
Carl Pruitt continued to demonstrate his displeasure with life even after he was dead and buried. In 1938, while living in Pulaski County, Kentucky, Pruitt discovered his wife cheating on him with another man. Rather than simply walking away and getting on with his life, Pruitt strangled his wife to death with a chain and then took his own life. Understandably, the family of Mrs. Pruitt requested that Pruitt be buried in a cemetery in another town, having no desire to see his grave every time they visited their loved one. Here's where things start to get very strange. After he was buried, people began to notice unusual marks appearing on and around Pruitt's grave. The grass on his grave was discoloured, and circular stains began to appear on the gravestone itself, eventually taking the form of a chain. The strange chain-like formation naturally grew the attention of the curious, and soon rumours began to spread about Pruitt and his grave. Around a month after the chain appeared on the grave, a group of young boys visited the cemetery to see the grave. James Collins, in an attempt to prove his lack of fear, tossed a rock at Pruitt's grave, which chipped off a piece of the headstone. Shortly after, the boys left the cemetery on their bicycles. As he pedalled home, Collins had an accident that resulted in his bike chain wrapping around his neck, strangling and killing him on the spot. In a fit of grief and rage, Collins' mother attacked Pruitt's grave with an axe. The day after the incident, she became tangled in a clothesline while hanging the laundry. As she struggled, she lost her footing and the clothesline wrapped around her neck, strangling her to death. 3 other people died after showing disrespect for Pruitt and his grave, including a police officer who'd been dispatched by a local congressman to investigate the deaths associated with Pruitt's final resting place. All 3 died as a result of some type of injury to the neck and throat, 2 by strangulation, and in the case of the police officer, near decapitation. As a result of all the tragedy associated with the cemetery, many family members opted to have their loved ones moved to other locations, and eventually the graveyard became overgrown and forgotten. Carl Pruitt's remains were the only few that weren't moved. On October 8, 2009, Bobby and Sherilyn Jamison, along with their 6-year-old daughter Madison, went for a 30-mile drive to view a 40-acre plot of land they were considering buying in the Sandboys Mountains near Red Oak, Oklahoma. All 3 of the Jamisons disappeared on that day, and it was 4 years before their bodies were found. People disappear all the time, but the circumstances that the Jamisons were in at the time of their disappearance were anything but normal. Many people feel that theirs were a paranormal death due to the activities that were taking place in their lives at the time. Gary Brandon, the Jamisons' family pastor, came forward to say that the family had come to him for guidance because they believed that their house was haunted and that they were under spiritual attack. They revealed to Brandon that they had made contact with spirits in their home, and that their daughter, Madison in particular, was carrying on conversations with a little girl that had previously died in the house. Brandon went on to say that Bobby Jamison was particularly distraught by the haunting and that he requested special bullets that he had hoped to use to kill the invading spirits. Nikki Chenault, a close friend of Sherilyn, went on to say that not only was the house haunted by a negative presence, but that Bobby, who was typically known for being kind and even-tempered, would suddenly go after his wife in a manner that was not at all like him. Sherilyn had told her friend that she was concerned that her husband was possessed. 4 years after they disappeared, the Jamisons were found in the woods, face down in a road not too far from where their truck was found during the initial search. There's been some speculation that it was a murder-suicide due to a hole that was found in the back of Bobby Jamison's skull, but there were no similar wounds found on Sherilyn or Madison. The autopsies were inconclusive as to the cause of death due to the amount of time the bodies had been exposed to the elements. On June 6, 1980, Zygmunt Adamski, a 57-year-old coal worker, left his home in Tingley, UK in the late afternoon to go do some shopping. When he didn't show up for a wedding the next day, family members grew concerned and started asking around in an attempt to discover his whereabouts. According to those who knew him, Adamski was well thought of with no enemies, but he had apparently vanished. It was several days later, on June 11th, 1980, that Adamski was discovered by Trevor Parker in a coal yard in a railway in Todmorden, approximately 30 miles from his home. Adamski was found on top of a 10-foot coal pile, positioned face up and looking as if he'd been dropped or deposited there. He was missing his shirt but otherwise clothed, and he had strange burns on his neck and shoulders. Even stranger was the fact that the burns had been treated with an unidentified ointment that the medical examiner couldn't identify. Though Adamski had been missing for 5 days, he only had light stubble on his face, and his stomach contents suggested that he had recently eaten. Though the official cause of death was listed as a heart attack, many speculate about the possibility of extraterrestrial abduction as being the true cause of Adamski's disappearance and death. Alan Godfrey was one of the first police officers on the scene, and he later claimed to have been abducted by aliens approximately 6 months after Adamski's death, and just a few miles away from where his body was discovered. This further fueled the idea that Adamski's was a paranormal death brought about by alien abduction. In 1994, an unidentified Brazilian man was found horribly mutilated in the Guaraparanga Reservoir in the southern portion of Sao Paulo, Brazil. The corpse was missing his left eye, left ear and lips. His rectum had also been cored out and numerous internal organs had been removed. While this in itself is disturbing enough, the way in which the organs had been removed takes this into the realm of the strange and downright creepy. According to the medical examiners, the internal organs were removed from the body by some type of vacuum or suction mechanism. Several exit holes were found on his body through which the organs were removed. The body had also been completely drained of its blood supply. While the official cause of death was listed as a heart attack induced by pain and shock, there has been a lot of speculation as to who actually did this. Comparisons have been made between the mutilated man and the numerous cattle mutilations that have come to be associated with UFO sightings. The removal of organs and soft tissue was done quickly and with precision, and the site where the man was found was completely clean of blood and other evidence. It is thought by many that the procedures performed on the man were beyond the technical expertise of man, and that the mutilated man was the victim of alien experiments. Dr. Kieran McLaughlin, the coroner for West Galway Island, gave his first verdict of death by spontaneous human combustion in his 25 years as a medical professional. On December 22, 2010, Michael Faraday was discovered in his living room at his home in Galway. His neighbour called the police after hearing a fire alarm and witnessing smoke pouring from the man's window. Faraday's body was completely burned, but the only damage to the house was the floor beneath him and ceiling above. A fire in the nearby fireplace was ruled out as the cause of death. Spontaneous human combustion is believed by some to be the result of an internal chemical reaction that requires no external source for ignition. There is no definitive proof of this, and there is a lot of conjecture as to the real cause of the phenomena. There have been hundreds of reports of spontaneous human combustion, but unfortunately there have been only a handful of cases that have actually been investigated with any real expertise. In April 1991, medical examiners listed heart failure as the cause of death for Christopher Case, a 35-year-old resident of Seattle. But was it really heart failure, or had Case actually been cursed by a witch whose affections he had refused? Case was a healthy, fit, 35-year-old man who didn't drink or use drugs, with no history of serious health issues. The only odd thing about Christopher Case was that he claimed to know that his death was on the way. It's alleged that Case refused the advances of a woman he had met while in San Francisco. While getting to know one another, she had informed Case that she was a witch, unsettling Case, who then turned down her advances. Shortly after returning home to Seattle, Case became convinced that he had been cursed by the woman for his refusal. He called friends shortly before he died, telling him that the woman was attacking him during the night, leaving bruises and small cuts on his body, and that there were strange things occurring in his home. He further stated that he was afraid for his life, feeling that he could die in the near future unless he finds some way to lift the curse. Case's friends began to worry about him, eventually calling the Seattle Police Department to request a welfare check after not having heard from him. What the police found was truly disturbing. His home was filled with crucifixes and various talismans apparently intended to protect him from the curse. There were also numerous candles and lines of salt had been poured along the walls, doors and windows for further protection. The police found Case in his bathroom. He was discovered in his bathtub, fully clothed and kneeling. There were more candles, crucifixes and salt in the bathroom around him. Case had died, but was it really from a heart attack, or was it actually the curse of a spurned witch? Gaurav Tiwari, a 32-year-old paranormal investigator, was found unconscious in his Delhi, India home on July 8, 2016. His family stated that they heard a loud noise from the bathroom before discovering him unconscious on the bathroom floor. He later died at the hospital of apparent asphyxiation, and there was an unusual black line around his neck that was only discovered after he had died. Tiwari was a prolific paranormal investigator, having visited over 6,000 homes in the course of his career. His family revealed that he had felt that a negative energy had attached itself to him around a month before he died. The death was ruled as a suicide, but his family felt that even though he had shown some signs of depression due to a heavy workload, he was typically happy and had no reason to take his own life. Many now wonder if a negative energy in Tiwari's life could have influenced him, causing him to commit suicide, or if he was physically attacked by a demonic entity. Ten-day-old John Edison Malachi died under mysterious circumstances in December 2011. Located in Talisay City, Philippines, John Edison's grandparents found red spatters that turned out to be blood on the floor of their daughter's home in the early morning hours. Assuming that rats could be the cause of the spatters, Virgil Arbequez called his daughter and told her what he had found. John Edison's mother, Kimberly, found her child with blood draining from his mouth and nose, as well as what looked like a puncture in his navel. The child was rushed to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. While authorities suspect foul play in the death of John Edison Malachi, his family, along with friends and spiritual leaders, believe it was the work of some type of supernatural creature, noting that blood was also found on the ceiling of the home. Kimberly stated that her son was healthy and that no strange noises or activities had been observed that would indicate a normal human intruder. Neighbours stated that they had heard bird sounds and that bloodstains had also been spotted on the rooftop of the home. Eliza Lamb's strange behaviour and bizarre death have baffled authorities for years. The 21-year-old Canadian student disappeared on January 31, 2013, while vacationing at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles, California. Prior to her disappearance, Lamb was captured on video surveillance exhibiting unusual behaviour in a Cecil Hotel elevator. In the video, she seems to be anxious. She's seen peering out of the elevator almost as if she's afraid that she's being followed. Lamb was diagnosed with bipolar disorder but was taking medication that seemed to alleviate her symptoms. Her family stated that she had never exhibited any type of suicidal tendencies. Lamb's body was discovered on February 19, 2013 in a rooftop water tank where she apparently drowned. Her body was only discovered after hotel guests began to complain about the water being foul. The Cecil Hotel is known for its infamous guests and it's seen its fair share of tragedies. Richard Ramirez, better known as the Night Stalker, lived at the hotel for a short time, and there have been numerous deaths at the hotel since it opened in 1927. Today it's known as one of the most haunted hotels in America. While Lamb's death was officially listed as an accidental drowning, many wonder if the hotel's haunted atmosphere may have had a negative effect on her. There are also many questions as to how she made her way into the water tank in the first place. Doors and stairs leading to the roof are all locked and alarmed and are only accessible by staff. The fire escape is one explanation of how Lamb accessed the rooftop, but only if she knew about its existence. Before we get to the number one spot and find out what happened to these young Russian skiers, remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on channel notifications. That way you'll be up to date with all our latest content. Over the years, there's been much speculation about what actually took place during what should have been an enjoyable excursion by a group of Russian skiers. On the night of February 2nd, 1959, 9 team members of the Dyatlov hiking and ski team died on the eastern slope of Kholat-Syakhl. There has been no concrete explanation for their deaths or the events that led up to the incident. The team set up camp on Kholat-Syakhl after a course change brought on by a snowstorm. It would have been several weeks before the first bodies were discovered. The ski team was expected to arrive in Vizhai on February 11th, 1959. Once there, they were to send telegrams to family members telling them of their safe arrival. When no contact was made, the team's family members weren't initially concerned, but when more than a week had passed with no contact, they requested that a search party be assembled. It wasn't until February 25th that a military pilot saw the derelict camp. The rescue team discovered the camp in disarray, with the tent sliced open from the inside and clothing strewn about. Footprints of people dressed haphazardly in socks or bare feet led investigators to the first 2 bodies, both men dressed only in undergarments. The men were found near the forest and there were signs of a fire nearby. 3 more bodies were found closer to the camp and it seemed that they were attempting to return to the tent. It was thought that all 5 individuals died from hypothermia. 2 months passed before the final 4 team members were found in a ravine near where the first 2 bodies were discovered. All 4 bodies showed signs of major trauma or crush injuries, and 1 body was missing their tongue. There were no external injuries, but small amounts of radiation were detected on the bodies and the clothing they were wearing. After a final examination of the bodies, the remains of the camp and the state it was left in, investigators determined that the team died due to an encounter with a natural force they were unable to overcome. Access to the site was limited for a period of 3 years, with the investigation results listed as classified. Many questions have arisen as to what really happened to the skiers. Numerous theories have been put forth, including a Yeti attack, Soviet military tests, and UFOs. It's been noted that balls of light were seen near the camp and could have been responsible for the death of the ski team, but no official explanation for the lights has ever been given.
Fresh pants please, that was a little bit terrifying. Well, that's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that upward facing thumb if you're enjoying the content, leave us a comment down below or subscribe if you're new. And that's it for me, I'll see you all next time. Pew! How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're looking at some creepy photos. From a photograph of the ghost of Jim Morrison to a mysterious picture of a sea monster. Join us as we take a look at 10 photos that simply shouldn't exist.
In 1999, a man from London spotted a UFO in the sky above his home. When he went outside to investigate, he saw several small humanoid creatures foraging around his backyard. He managed to capture a series of photos of the creatures, including this one, that seems to show one of the creatures shielding its eyes from the camera flash. Then, in this image, 3 strange lights can be seen in the sky as 2 of the creatures appear to be communicating with each other. The one on the left looks to be pointing towards the photographer. Could this just be children playing a prank, or was this man really visited by aliens? In 1997, American rock historian Brett Meisner asked his assistant to take a photograph of him standing next to the grave of the legendary Doors frontman Jim Morrison. The grave, located at the Père Lachaise Cemetery in Paris, is a popular tourist attraction with many fans visiting daily. Meisner initially forgot about the photo, and it wasn't until 5 years later that he found it again. Looking at the picture, Meisner noticed something very strange about the photo. In the background, there appeared to be another figure standing on top of the steps. The image quickly spread across the internet, with many claiming that the ghostly figure seen in the picture was none other than Jim Morrison himself. When doubt was cast on the validity of the image, Meisner agreed to have it examined. Experts agreed that both the photo and the negative had not been tampered with in any way, nor was there any evidence that the figure was a result of exposure or light manipulation. To this day, the figure in the photo remains a mystery. This photo was taken by a woman who began noticing strange occurrences around her house that seemingly had no explanation. She decided to set up a computer camera and leave it running. When she reviewed the footage, it appeared to have captured a dark figure in the middle of her lounge room. Did she capture what is commonly known as a shadow person, shadowy creatures that are said to lurk on the edge of human sight? Thousands of witnesses have claimed to have seen them, and sightings are apparently more common by those who are sleep deprived. Some believe that these mysterious creatures could be another species of life that simply move too fast for the human eyes to see. Others think that these strange beings are somehow linked to the spirit world. So next time you have that creepy feeling you're being watched but you think no one is around, maybe it's a shadow person lurking in the darkness. This photo of a young married couple was taken in 1942 in Jasper, Alabama. At first glance, it doesn't seem to show anything unusual. When the photo is enlarged, however, you can see clearly what appears to be a haggard old woman in the tree over the woman's shoulder. She seems to be lunging towards the couple with an outstretched arm. Has the photographer captured some sort of ghost or demon lurking within the branches of the tree, just waiting for a chance to attack unsuspecting visitors? What do you think the creature captured in this photo could be? This photo was taken by a woman from Rhode Island on her cell phone. It's of her 22-month-old niece who she was babysitting at the time. When she looked at the photo, she was shocked to see the disembodied head of an old lady in the left-hand corner of the image. The woman swears there was no one else in the house at the time the photo was taken. Sometime later, the woman was rummaging through old photographs and stumbled across one of her deceased great-grandmother. Thinking she'd seen that face before, she remembered the photo that she had taken of her niece months earlier. To her shock, the woman staring over the shoulder of the little girl looked almost identical to her great-grandmother. This image is a still from a video that surfaced online in mid-2016. The footage, supposedly shot in a Portuguese desert, shows a tall, ogre-like creature slowly meandering along a path before it disappears into a bush. The video quickly gained more than 200,000 views as people began debating whether the footage was real or not, and what the creature might actually be. Some believe it may be similar to the South American chupacabra, the cryptid believed to be responsible for killing hundreds of goats, leaving their bodies completely drained of blood. Others believe it could be a distant cousin of the North American Bigfoot, the ape-like humanoid that is said to roam the woods of the Pacific Northwest. This photo was taken by actor and recording artist Ike Clanton at the Boot Hill Graveyard in Tombstone, Arizona. Clanton, who was related to the infamous Clanton gang that did battle with Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday at the OK Corral, took a photo of his friend at the cemetery posing in 1880s period clothing. He deliberately took a black and white photo to give it an authentic Old West feel. When he had the image developed, he couldn't believe what he saw. Over his friend's shoulder, there appears to be a man wearing a dark hat buried up to his waist among the graves. Clanton insisted that there was no one else in the area at the time the photo was taken. To make the story even creepier, Clanton believes the man is actually holding a large knife. When asked about the photo, he said, "We thought this was a tie at first, but after further review it appears to be a knife. The knife is in a vertical position, the tip is located just below the figure's right collar." While this photo has been around for a while, no one has been able to prove who or what the mysterious figure is. What do you think? Camera trick, or has Clanton captured a ghost of a restless cowboy rising from the grave? This photo of a young hunter was supposedly taken somewhere in Australia. The photo shows a man holding a gigantic grasshopper in one hand that he supposedly shot and killed while hunting in the outback. The image first appeared in an Australian magazine in 1937, along with an article claiming that the hunter had shot the world's largest grasshopper. Recently, someone came forward on the internet claiming that the photo was of their grandpa and that it was actually taken in eastern Montana. They said that while he was out hunting one day, he was approached by an unknown photographer. The photographer asked the man to hold out his empty left hand while posing with his gun. He then snapped a few pictures and left. If the image has been doctored in some way, the person has done a remarkable job. Remember, this photo was taken long before Photoshop was even invented. What do you think? Is this an actual photo of a gigantic Australian grasshopper, or has the image somehow been manipulated? This creepy photo was taken at the Crumlin Road prison in Northern Ireland. The man inside the coffin posed for the photo as a prank, but when he saw it, he quickly realised that the camera had captured more than just a joke. To the side of the man's head, you can clearly see the face of someone else lying in the coffin behind him. Today, the prison is a tourist attraction, however it was once the scene of many gruesome executions, murders and suicides. This photo was reported to have been taken near cell 13, the cell where prisoners would spend their last night before being sent to the gallows. What do you think? Has this picture captured the ghostly face of a past inmate? Let us know in the comments section below. This photo was taken by Frenchman Robert Le Sirec on the 12th of December 1964. Sirec and his family were staying on Hook Island off the coast of Queensland, Australia, in a group of islands known as the Whitsundays. While crossing the bay in a small boat, Sirec's wife noticed what appeared to be a large tadpole-like creature lying on the bottom of the sand, which they estimated to be between 75 and 80 feet in length. Thinking that the creature was dead, Sirec and family friend Hank de Jong decided to jump into the water and film the beast. To their surprise, the creature opened its mouth and began swimming towards them. By the time the pair made it back to the boat, the mysterious beast had swam away. Sirec described the creature as having eyes on the top of its head with pale slit-shaped pupils. Its body was smooth and it had no visible fins or spines. He claimed that the creature also appeared to be injured and may have been seeking refuge in the shallow lagoon to recover. Since the photo surfaced, many have claimed it to be a hoax. The most popular dismissal is that it's a clever Photoshop job. However, the photo was taken in 1964 and a detailed account was written up by zoologist Bernard Heuvelmans in 1968, so it's not possible that Photoshop was used. Several other theories exist, including the idea that it could have been a giant swamp eel. However, eels rarely grow larger than 1 metre. Other theories suggested that it could have been a school of fish or a sunken weather balloon. Some believe it could have been a hoax perpetrated by Sirec using a large piece of plastic sheeting weighed down by sand. To this day, no one has been able to definitively explain the mysterious creature captured in this photo. While Sirec didn't manage to film the beast, he did manage to capture these 2 additional images along with the famous image we've been looking at previous. What do you think? Did Sirec photograph an as yet undiscovered sea creature, or was it something else?
Bonus time! So we're doing another awesome t-shirt giveaway. To get your Piglety mittens on one of these awesome tees, all you have to do is head on over to Instagram and like our page. At the top of our feed, you'll see this photo. In the comments section of that photo, leave the hashtag GimmeGimmeGimme. That'll put you into the running to win one of these awesome t-shirts. So what are you waiting for? Head on over, like our page, and good luck. Well, those photos were just a little bit terrifying. Thank you so much for watching. That's the end of the episode. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. If you've been around for a little while, smash that upward facing thumb. Leave us a comment down below. We love reading them. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. From the sights, sounds and smells of haunted battlegrounds to the handprints of ghostly soldiers. Join us as we take a look at the 10 most haunted battlefields around the world.
There are dozens of reported ghost sightings at Battle Abbey in Normandy. The abbey was built after the Battle of Hastings in 1066, and it's the place where King Harold was killed. There is a ghost of a woman all in white who haunts the gatehouse. The altar of the abbey has reportedly been found bleeding, and long dead monks roam the grounds. And even King Harold himself has been seen wandering around with an arrow in his eye. On the anniversary of the battle, you can hear the sounds of the battle, the soldiers and their horses. The Highlands are said to be the most haunted part of all of Scotland, but especially the battlefield of Culloden Moor. The Jacobites were defeated on Culloden Moor on April 16, 1746, and the battle was especially bloody. The fight itself only took 1 hour. It left behind many ghosts which can be seen and heard on the anniversary of the battle. During other times in the year, a battle-dazed man can be found wandering the moor. A man in his tartans has been seen lying injured on the ground, as well as many other soldiers. No birds sing or visit the site of the battle anymore. This is the site of one of the American Civil War's bloodiest, grisliest battles. Lasting from May 31 to June 12, 1864, over 16,000 soldiers died in the battle, and a large number of the dead were never properly buried. And it's guessed that from this lack of burial comes the abundance of ghosts. People who visit the battlefield claim they have felt the shock of cannons going off, they can hear the sounds of soldiers and horses, and can even smell gunpowder in the air. These sightings aren't just linked to the anniversary of the battle, however. These supernatural experiences occur regularly throughout the year. The beach of Dieppe, France was the site of Operation Jubilee, a precursor to Operation D-Day. This was carried out by Allied forces to claim a major port, and more importantly to the mission, prove that it was possible to take the beach from the Germans. The raid was a disaster and 4,000 soldiers lost their lives. There had been very little reported sightings of any ghosts or noises in the area, but once while camping a couple were woken by gunfire sometime after 4 in the morning, roughly when the raid started. What they heard was soldiers fighting out the battle. The couple could distinguish what the soldiers were saying and wrote down everything they heard. Historians then confirmed that the couple had heard the whole battle play out, down to the minute. This battle for Belgian territory was held in World War I for 3 months, July to November in 1917. During the battle, over 400,000 people lost their lives, and it's estimated that around 100,000 soldiers were never identified or even buried due to the terrain being especially treacherous. Around the battlefield and village, the sounds of the battle can be heard, including screams and gunfire. This was a battle between US cavalry and the Lakota tribe in 1876. There were no survivors from the US cavalry. Visitors to the site have seen soldiers reenacting the battle, can smell gunpowder and hear the cries of soldiers. Even more creepily, visitors have also reported having hallucinations of the battle firsthand and have experienced overwhelming feelings of despair. In 1862, this battle was fought on a sunken road between 2 farms for only 4 hours as part of the US Civil War. Despite the short time frame, over 23,000 soldiers were killed, injured, or reported missing. It's reported that no matter how many people are present or how busy the area is, the site of the battlefield is absolutely silent except for the sounds of gunfire and drumming. The road, now called Bloody Lane, smells of gunpowder, and soldiers are frequently seen wandering the road. Blue lights can be seen at night moving in time with the aforementioned drum beats. A church nearby was where some of the wounded were taken to be looked after, and it's said that the floorboards are so stained with blood that not even a sander can get rid of the stains. As part of the English War of the Roses, a battle was fought in Toten in 1461. A stream nearby, Cockbeck, ran red with blood from the battle. Over 30,000 soldiers died in the battle, which also took place in the middle of a large and heavy snowstorm. Every 7 years it's said that Toten has a similar snowstorm. If you walk into the storm, you'll see the soldiers battling it out again over several hours. Brownsville has been the site of 7 battles, including battles as part of the Civil War and the Mexican War. The Civil War battle took place in 1863, and it's unclear how many soldiers were injured or died, but there were over 8,000 soldiers involved. People have reported hearing the usual gunfire and shouts from the site of the battles, but the sighting that stands out the most is reported by a young couple, Barb and Cameron Dexter, who had parked their truck in the middle of the night. When they awoke, they heard gunfire close by. Rather than drive away immediately, they got out of the truck to investigate. They were soon surrounded by what they said looked like corpses in Confederate uniforms. They ran back into the truck, and once daylight broke, they could see the truck was covered in bloody handprints. More than 50,000 soldiers died over 3 days at the Battle of Gettysburg in 1863. There are hundreds of reported ghost sightings on this battlefield and the surrounding town, and the hauntings are the subject of several books and documentaries. Beds are reported to shake during the night, doors slam, ghostly figures walk through rooms where people are staying. People report hearing screams, and at points it's said that it sounds like you're standing in the middle of the battlefield, with hundreds of people dying around you. During the filming of the movie Gettysburg, some extras were approached by a man who smelt like gunpowder. They assumed he was another extra, but he handed them some bullets that weren't being used as props for the movie, and were later confirmed to be from the actual time period the battle had taken place. One of the most famous and most seen ghosts is the man who haunts the Devil's Den, a rocky outcrop close to the battlefield. He always says the same thing: what you're looking for is over there.
Well, there's another episode down. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, why not hit that subscribe button just there? If you've been subscribed for a while, then hit that bell icon to get all the latest updates about our channel. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew! How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about some really creepy photos. From the spirit of a hiker seen standing on a cliff face to a mysterious cult spotted surrounding a car. Join us as we take a look at 10 real eerie photos that have left authorities baffled. And before we get into it, remember to hit that subscribe button to see more creepy content just like this.
Reddit user Sliced Up Beef posted this photo asking the community to clarify what exactly he'd captured on camera. The poster claims he was hiking around Dundas Peak, a scenic spot that overlooks Hamilton, Ontario in Canada. His cousin suggested he go check out the views and take a snap at a popular spot where the cliffs reach out over the ravine. When he reviewed his photos for the day, he couldn't quite fathom what he had captured. In the photo, there appears to be a person wearing a white top and dark pants standing eerily straight on a remote cliffside. The user noted that the area was extremely dangerous and inaccessible from all sides. He was simply baffled how a person could get out there. Comments on the Reddit thread noted that the area is known for some nasty accidents. They thought it was perhaps the spirit of someone who had tragically died there. It's alleged that hikers go missing at a rate of 1 per year around Dundas Peak. Although the photo has been shared thousands of times around social media, no one has been able to definitively explain the mysterious person in this photo. In 2015, tourist Chris Aitchison took this hair-raising photo at Tantallon Castle, Scotland. The mysterious figure was caught peering out of one of the upper windows of the castle. Many experts have speculated that it's a woman wearing Elizabethan period attire complete with collared ruff. Aitchison was so curious about what he had captured on film that he contacted the castle's management and asked if there were any reenactments that day. Castle staff informed him there was no such reenactment that day, and in fact, they don't even feature costumed guides that fit the look of the person that was captured on film. Some scholars have suggested that it could be the spirit of King James V of Scotland, who owned the castle in the 16th century. Some skeptics have noted, however, that it may be just a trick of the light. If you look at the angle of the light coming in the stairwell to the top left, it could be illuminating the rear stonework, giving the appearance of a face and clothes. Further still, that area of the castle is open to the public, so it could be simply another curious tourist wandering the premises. All things considered, this is still a strange photo for the ages. Despite the various possible explanations, a lot of experts are gobsmacked at what's been captured. Could Aitchison's camera have caught the ghost of an ancient resident going about their day as though they've not passed away? Or is it simply a case of pareidolia? This real photo was taken during a football match on October 3, 2013. The crowd at Dragon Stadium in Porto, Portugal went wild when James Rodriguez scored a huge goal for the local side. As photographers took rapid snaps of the Colombian celebrating his goal, they inadvertently captured something very unsettling. In the grandstand, among thousands of cheering fans, there appears to be a black skeletal figure wearing a white shirt. It has deep sunken eyes, a grey face and black hair. The lower half of the entity doesn't seem to exist. Just below Rodriguez's arm, there's a strange misty quality. Whatever the figure is, it seems to be just floating in mid-air. It's as though the boy to the left has no idea what's happening. Dozens of news outlets ran with the story, and soon this creepy image was the talk of the internet. Theories ran from ghosts and spirits to a glitch on the camera, and one even suggested it was a glimpse into an alternate universe. What do you think this skeleton in the grandstand could be? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Sticking with the world game, a strange photo surfaced in 2016 showing an eerie figure sitting on the sidelines of this Premier League match. Twitter user @TonyOdo1 posted this photo with the caption, "Who's the ball boy with no face?" Speculation ran rife as the mysterious photo spread around the internet. Viewers were shocked at the eerie faceless boy spotted live in clear sight during Monday Night Football. The chilling incident was captured when Johan Berg Gudmundsson took a corner kick during the match. Spectators were stunned at what was being shown live on TV. The footage was shown in real time, making it impossible for the image to be tampered with in any way. Experts are stumped by the footage and can't explain what's being captured. This chilling image was submitted to Reddit by user 0A Russell. They said a friend of theirs was taking photos with their kid when one of the images showed a horrifying face in the background. Right in the middle of the curtain, there appears to be an old woman's face peering straight at the camera. It's grey and wrinkly and has a really unsettling quality to it. The face seems to split perfectly with the crack in the curtain, which could mean the face is actually printed on the fabric. But why on earth would anyone want curtains with an eerie old lady's face on them? The Reddit user said that the homeowner thought that an old lady had died in the house many years ago. Could this be her way of contacting the present owners? Or is it simply a print on the curtains? Love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. Here's another mysterious real photo that was posted to Reddit. User Tony12684 said that his uncle took this photo many years ago while driving through New Mexico. In the distance he noticed a wildfire and wanted to get some photos. He pulled over and began photographing the scene. At the time there was nothing unusual of note except for the plumes of smoke in the background. Several weeks later, when he got the photos developed, he was shocked at what he saw. Right in the foreground is a mysterious lady in blue. The uncle insisted that no one else was around when he took the photos. The lady has sunken black eyes and a strange dark complexion. Her nose appears skeletal and her jaw looks gaunt and detached. There's a shadow quality to her features that makes this photo really eerie to look at. Her thin, outstretched arm ends in a stump with no fingers. The exact date this photo was taken is unknown, but it's obviously printed from film. It's possible then that this could be a malfunction which has blended two images together. Yet the unsettling features of the woman in blue remain. Who is she and why has she appeared in this photo? There's not a lot of information available for this photo. It was posted to a forum by someone with the handle Wookiee Rage. They said they were walking through the woods one day with their brother taking photos. As they were walking, they noticed a tree with an interesting hollow in the trunk. They took a snap and continued on, thinking nothing of it. Later that night, the budding photographers got the fright of their lives when they examined one of their photos. If you look to the rear of the hollow, lurking in the shadows, there are two claw-like hands pressed on the ground. They're thin and sharp looking, but clearly look to be human. Could this be some kind of unknown humanoid creature hiding in the darkness? Or perhaps it's a homeless person that's taken refuge in the tree and doesn't want to be found. This sinister photo was allegedly taken in a rural area of Bulgaria in the late 70s. At that time, there was a mysterious cult known to operate in the area. There's not a lot of solid details about this photo, but there is one chilling story that follows the image all over the internet. The story goes that a young photographer and his daughter were driving through a remote part of Bulgaria when their car broke down. It was early evening and the area was all but dark except for a small light coming from a farmhouse in the distance. The father told his daughter to stay with the car while he walked to the distant cottage to get some help. Half an hour later, while walking back to the car, the father stopped dead in his tracks. In the distance, he could see a circle of people surrounding his car. They were all dressed in black robes and had hoods draped over their faces. They were holding their arms out wide as if presiding over the car and the young girl inside. The father quickly took this photo for evidence and began running as fast as he could to the car. No one knows exactly what happened after that moment. Some locals claim police found the car burnt out in the middle of a field, with no other evidence except for this photo found on a camera discovered in the woods nearby. This terrifying photo was sent to us by a viewer called Citrus Lemon. The story goes that when they were young, they were playing a modified game of hide and seek with their new camera phones. The rules were simple enough: find a spot to hide in a dark room and one person would take a photo with a flash, then see and spot anyone hiding in the photo. They played several rounds and all was normal. People would hide, the flash would go off. Then one round, the person with the phone let out a horrible scream after they took the photo. Quickly the lights came on and everyone gathered around. The person who had taken the photo was noticeably shaken and had tears welling up in their eyes. When everyone looked at the phone, this was the image on the screen. Everyone stood around shocked at what they saw. In the photo, a thin boy can be seen crawling eerily through the doorway. He's in a bizarre upside down posture with his head tilted backwards. The most chilling part of all, there was absolutely no one playing the game that day that looks anything like the boy in the photo. Citrus Lemon said they don't like looking at the photo. It's the first time they've seen it in years and it still makes their stomach churn. To this day, they have no explanation for this image. Before we get to the number one spot and find out what's lurking in this old military bunker, remember to hit subscribe and turn on channel notifications. That way you'll be up to date with all our latest creepy content. Fort Worden in Washington State, United States has been a ghostly hotspot for paranormal investigators for years. Its rich military history has many ghastly tales dating back to the late 19th century. Built in 1889, the base began as a humble outpost for soldiers posted on Artillery Hill. It grew to become a significant anti-aircraft station with many cement bunkers built into the mountainside. Historians say that an officer accidentally killed himself while cleaning his pistol at Fort Worden. Now there are reports of an aggressive force that prowls the area, furious that he died from such a foolish accident. Paranormal investigators believe that if a person dies in an accident, there is a higher chance their spirit will linger in the area. Tourists have reported loud banging coming from the old cement bunkers, the rooms are often unusually cold, and fits of nausea have been known to set in. This photo was taken when several boys decided to explore the old military installation. They were walking around taking photographs, looking for anything interesting in the old bunkers. They claimed they were alone the whole time and didn't notice anything particularly unusual. However, when they reviewed their photos the next day, their blood ran cold. If you look at the top left-hand corner of one of the images, there is a strange figure lurking on top of one of the cement rooms. Its face is red, almost burnt looking. It seems to be lying there in the darkness, hiding, or worse, waiting for the right time to attack the unsuspecting boys. Is this some kind of ghoul that lives deep in the network of this military installation? Note the strange orbs of light too. There is as many as 6 glowing balls of light hovering about the dark hallway. The strange thing is, there are a few before and after photos and there is no figure lurking in that spot. Could this then be a glimpse of the spirit of the angry officer who accidentally took his own life all those years ago?
Fresh pantalones, please. I seem to have soiled myself. Well, they were some super creepy photos. Thank you so much for watching. If you're enjoying our content, hit that upward facing thumb, subscribe if you're new, or leave us a comment down below. We love reading them. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew!
Slap
5 ghostly spirits caught on camera. From a man getting possessed